There was a time, maybe before the internet, I'm told, or it's said, or our elders once mentioned, when gratitude was a simple, wholesome affair. We all sat around the table, said, "What are you grateful for?" And somebody said, "Family." Somebody else said, "Health." And then Uncle Bob, your favorite Uncle Bob, said, "Football." Because, well, Uncle Bob is consistent, if nothing else. But what about now? What about the current state of gratitude? I think it's gone the same way that most everything else in modern America has gone. Scale. We got to scale. Grow, grow, grow. Yeah, that's great. You've got a nice thing going on, but how do you scale it? Is that even scalable? Well, gratitude, turns out it has been. It's been corporatized. Gratitude has been optimized. It's been 10x'd. It's been AI prompted. It's been hashtagged and sorted into categories like micro gratitudes and neural reframes. Whew, gratitude. And nothing reveals the absurdity of the whole enterprise quite like the annual ritual known as the Thanksgiving Circle of Forced Sincerity. Turkey is slowly cooling off. Tensions are rising a little bit, and somebody announces, "All right, everybody, let's all say what we're grateful for." This is when the adults around the table panic, the children wilt, and the teenagers, well, the teenagers wisely consider what it would be like just to live in the woods, to abandon society, just walk out the front door and keep walking. Now, I think it starts normally enough. And it's a fine exercise to think about. Mom says, "I'm grateful for family." Dad says, "I'm grateful for health." Grandma says, "I'm grateful for each and every day," which we all ought to be. Those are all really good. And so everybody nods along, warm, lovely, playing the classics, playing the hits. It's what everybody likes. But then, brothers and sisters, everything begins to unravel. Your cousin, who has been who has one has been to exactly one mindfulness workshop, says, "I'm grateful for my inner journey." Somebody else, let's call this other person, say Chad. Chad says, "I'm grateful for the blockchain." And no one's really sure if he's serious or he's experiencing a mental health emergency of some kind. But by the time the gratitude baton reaches the kids' table, the whole thing has 1000% jumped the shark. "I'm grateful for the soil that grew these potatoes." This is a 6-year-old who absolutely heard that from TikTok. Another kid, desperate to display moral superiority, adds, "I'm grateful for the delivery driver who brought the food to the store so we could buy it." Now, what's happened? What's just taking place is that we have engaged in a very performative gratitude arms race. Somebody says oxygen. Another person says gravity. Somebody says the existence of matter. Somebody else says compost. By this point, we all hate gratitude now. We hate Thanksgiving. We hate each other and would give anything, ironically, to be left alone. Because this is what happens when gratitude becomes a mandatory public performance instead of a private reckoning. It turns trite. It turns into my most least favorite thing in the whole world, becomes vapid, and it becomes fatiguing. I'm exhausted. It becomes virtue masquerading as sincerity. The truth is, most of us are starving for abundance, but we're drowning in platitudes. Maybe, just maybe, we're ready for a better way. What do you think? Are you ready for a better way, a different path forward, something else to talk about around the old Thanksgiving table? So here's a shift that I suggest. I suggest that we shift from this fatigue, this gratitude fatigue that we're experiencing to a love of abundance. Gratitude says, "This is nice." Abundance says, "This matters." Gratitude often stops at awareness, but abundance, that demands engagement. Gratitude can be vague, Abundance is specific, elemental, and irreplaceable. Gratitude can be polite. Abundance is primal. Gratitude is saying what you're thankful for. Abundance is understanding what you cannot live without and recognizing that its continued existence is not guaranteed. So here's an exercise. Call it Take It Away First. It's a Thanksgiving pattern interrupt that bypasses the fatigue and gets straight to the truth. So we want to cut right through this triteness, get rid of the vapidity, and go deeper, putting teeth back into gratitude by making people imagine the real cost of losing something that is deeply and really meaningful. So step number one, ask a different question. Don't ask, what are you grateful for? Instead, ask, what is one thing in your life that you would never want removed? What is one thing, not 10, not a list, what is one thing in your life that you would never want removed? One thing that, if it was gone tomorrow, your life would shatter, contract, or somehow dim. It could be a person. You could say me. Be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your kids, your grandkids, whatever. Could be Barack Obama, could be Bill Clinton, could be Donald Trump, could be Michael Jordan, could be LeBron James. I don't care. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jermaine for today. It could be a role that you play or you would like to play or that somebody else plays. It could be a capacity. It could be a place. It could be a ritual, like going around the table and saying what you're grateful for. It's probably not true, though. It could be a freedom that you enjoy and you recognize just how fortunate that you are that you get to enjoy that freedom, or it could be a way of being. That's a cool exercise, don't you think? What is one thing that if gone tomorrow, your life would shatter, contract, or dim? What is one thing in your life that you would never want removed? And then try to make it real. So step number two is ask why. Why is what you just said an essential thing? What does it give you? What does it give you? What does it allow you to express? What version of you emerges because of the existence of that thing? So step number three, ask, what would it take to get more? What would it take for you to get more of that thing? And that's where the abundance kicks in. What would it take for you to protect this thing, to grow this thing, or to multiply that thing? Not from the universe, not out of luck, not from some benevolent cosmic force, from you. So what we're doing is we're reframing gratitude from passive appreciation to active stewardship. So now we're no longer grateful for having a thing. We're responsible for tending to the thing. Then step number four is what would happen if you neglected it. So just imagine that neglect. Imagine that thing decaying. Imagine that you lose that thing. Not as a threat, but as a reminder that abundance requires agency. So step number five, here's the line that I want you to finish with. Abundance is not what you have, it's what you're willing to protect. Abundance is not what you have, it's what you're willing to protect. So I think that gratitude fatigue is a real thing. We're over optimized. It's a human instinct. But the better question is, again, what is that one thing you'd never want removed from your life? And what would you do what would it take for you to get more of it? So the question, it's not creating gratitude, it's creating clarity. And clarity is what is driving of abundance. So it's my hope that we're constantly grateful for the things that we have. But this consideration of abundance in place of or on top of gratitude and understanding what it takes or what it would take for you to get more of it, what it requires for you to keep getting and enjoying the benefits of it, I think is a really, really, really helpful and pretty profound exercise. And one that I invite you to put to work. So I'll put the framework in the in the notes of our show here today and invite you to give it a shot around the Thanksgiving table. And would love to hear how it goes for you. I'm sure that a different take on this, fresh take, is always welcome, and it's helpful to have different prompts for these things, so it doesn't just become some kind of a trite exercise and a BS exercise about what it is that you're grateful for. And as always, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do our part by doing our best. Happy Thanksgiving.